Welcome, community, to our Christmas special of Raptor ChainReaction. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. My name's Paul Mills from Raptoreum Core, and here we have the mighty Hunter Schultz, who is the head of production for Raptoreum, and many other roles also. How are you, Hunter?
I am enjoying a pre-Christmas weekend,
Yeah.
and I've even whipped out the eggnog and adult beverage addition to it. In Panama, they call it ron ponche, so it's rum and eggnog, and it is very tasty. So who knows what happens by the end of this show?
Well, I've just cracked open a brand new bottle of Baileys, and I'm swigging out of it.
Guzzling. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, why not?
Cheers.
It's the holiday. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone out there. Happy Hanukkah. Uh, it's a pleasure to be here, and hope to have some fun and share some things that are going on a special Raptor chain reaction.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, yes, let's do it. I mean, this is a live Raptor chain reaction, unedited, off the cuff sort of thing. So we're just gonna have to see how it goes after a few of these, you know. So what are we talking about today, Hunter?
Well, I would say before we go off the deep end and we go off the rails, I think we should probably cover a few things that are going on, and we've talked about these things on previous Raptor chain reactions. But we just did a blog post for investment bankers. Now, it may not sound like a very exciting topic, but within that blog post was something that I used from my dad in his days in teaching creative problem solving. And it is a tool that's been around for a long time. If you Google it, you'll find it. And it's the SCAMPER concept. And I applied that along with how to find hidden assets within a company. And investment bankers, basically what they do is they will find a company, and if they see it's got a lot of value in it, they will take it public and create a lot of wealth for people, etc. And you hear a lot of people have done very well when a company goes public. The other thing that they do is they take over companies. They look for value within a company that maybe the current owners don't see, or they see that they can leverage it with something else. They can combine it with something else and create a new entity even. So the SCAMPER concept is a way for them to look at assets around a company. You have an example within that article. To look at a company's, let's say it's a company with 5,000 delivery trucks. And they apply the SCAMPER concept to come up with different ways of monetizing those trucks. And it could be a lot of different things. So one of the things, and let me run through SCAMPER first. The S in SCAMPER stands for substitute. And you can probably guess plenty of things that have been substituted for another to create either a new product or a new service. Another, the C in SCAMPER stands for combine, where you combine two things. Whoever said chocolate sauce and vanilla ice cream went together? So you combine things to come up with a new product. The A stands for adapt. You can adapt certain things. I mean, most of you won't remember that 45 records had a very big hole about this big in the middle. In order to play it on most turntables that played LPs, you had a little pin. So there was a little 45 record adapter that you put into where that hole is, and you could play it on a normal record player. So that's an example of adapting something and creating something new. The M is actually three things. The first is modify. What have we modified in order to come up with something new? We modify cars all the time to come up with an entirely new concept or new look. Another way of looking at a problem is to magnify something. What have we magnified? Well, we've made TVs bigger, for one thing. We've also made TVs smaller by minifying them. So these are the three M's are the different ways of looking at something and changing it. The P is put to other uses. And a simple example of that would be how many times have you used a garbage can to hold open a door? That's an example of put to other uses. The E is the most powerful, and that's eliminate. And what have we eliminated? Plenty of things. We've essentially eliminated polio for the most part. We've eliminated, in many parts of the world, we've eliminated rabies. In certain countries, they don't have rabies anymore. I think Panama actually doesn't have any more rabies. And the last letter, R, has two meanings. And the first one is reverse. Henry Ford forgot to put a reverse gear in his first car. The second way of looking at something is reverse. So rearrange and reverse. That's it. Sorry, rearrange and reverse. You rearrange furniture. You rearrange corporations, processes, and reversing something. Go backwards. Reverse engineering. So those are 10 ways for an investment banker to look at a company. And in this case, we used an example of a 5 delivery trucks. What can you do with those trucks? Well, why not wrap them in something? You don't have to do a permanent. You can wrap them now and support a local food bank and create a contest and use assets in order to do it. Sell NFTs to raise money for the food bank. And there's plenty more that you can do. So here are ways that you're looking at the delivery trucks as something completely new and monetizing them in ways that you wouldn't ordinarily think of. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you apply the SCAMPER concept to things that you know, as the community knows, you may find use cases that there are plenty out there, and bring them to our attention. We can feature them on Raptor ChainReaction. I'll finish this part up by saying that if you're wondering why we're spotlighting things like IP, intellectual property, and then investment banking, what we're doing is we're in the process of using that content to point people to from ads. And we had a good talk last week with a large brand management firm. And we're going to do some small classified ads in their newsletter. And in that, you have a clickable link, and we're going to use that to send them to the blog or to videos. So we're creating this content for that audience and you. So hopefully we'll spark some ideas. And again, we love good ideas. We want people to use the network. And we are focused on things that you can use Raptoreum assets right now. We don't have to wait for anything. We're highly focused on that. So think about what can be used right now. I mean, what asset use cases you can use right now. Yeah, smart contracts are coming down the road. But right now, you can do things like protect your IP. There are plenty of musicians out there that can protect their IP and avoid problems, not to mention photographers, filmmakers, etc. The next part of this, that I'll finish this up, is we are spending time going, essentially contacting and calling IP-related people, whether it's in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the Copyright Office, and we're getting into the dispute resolution system within those entities. We also have a contact now within the International Intellectual Property Association, which is a very influential group, with the anti-counterfeiting person there. So we're opening up doors. I've been told, just an FYI, that until the new administration comes in, it's not going to be very rapid in terms of the U.S., the Patent and Trademark Office and the Copyright Office. But, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Still going to push a little bit, but I've been told don't expect much until the new administration takes over, which is kind of typical when you have a new government. Even here in Panama, not much happens until that time. So that's sort of the update and where we're going. And we definitely want to hear some ideas, and use Scamper. Use it in your own use it in the business in what you do. It's a very good tool for just thinking different, problem solving, and coming up with new ideas. And there you go. Not R, but go.
Well, I was thinking about
Cheers.
yeah, cheers. Actually, yeah, we'll have a drink to that. I was thinking about the scamper technique, as Hunter was talking about, in the manufacturing sector, and I thought I'd break it down to give you a little guide on how a manufacturing company could incorporate this technique with Raptoreum to find new ways of integrating the Raptoreum blockchain into their operations. So, as Hunter mentioned, the first one is the S, which is substitute. And if a company is to look for elements of their business model or their technology that can be replaced with something else, like they should consider substituting like the traditional supply chain and use tracking with RTM's blockchain technology to enhance transparency and also security, because obviously it's decentralized rather than a centralized management of that, which can have issues. They can they can identify processes in production management where they could use RTM assets to replace, traditional financial instruments that they might be using, which can offer better digital asset management, basically. Next one is C, which is combine. They can combine RTM asset creation capabilities with existing systems to streamline record keeping and also transactions. They can integrate RTM with IoT devices, Internet of Things, if you don't know what that means, for automated inventory management and also production improvements as well. And they can utilize digital assets as a way of recording and verifying data points at all parts of the process. Next one is A, which is it's adapt, right? Raptoreum's got peer-to-peer transaction capabilities, and this creates a more efficient decentralized supply chain. They can modify existing marketing strategies to incorporate RTM's asset management features, and this appeals to clients interested in blockchain transparency and innovation, and it also gives much more timely product updates through the process and updates that they can really trust. Next one is M, which is modify. They can modify the existing financial management processes by including Raptoreum to manage and also trade digital assets. So they could have some sort of internal DEX to swap these things across. This can also reduce transaction fees, and it can also increase efficiency as well across the company. They can alter product identification protocols as well by using RTM assets to ensure like legitimacy of products and also traceability across the supply chain. A little bit like the last one I've just talked about, really. The next one is P, which is put to another use. And they can utilize Raptoreum assets for, inventory tokenization. And it allows real-time tracking and efficient resource allocation within the manufacturing process. We've talked about some parts of this in some of our Raptor ChainReaction videos previously. Some of the use cases that are available to people wishing to integrate with blockchain as the current Raptoreum chain stands. One that comes to mind is Rickenbacker guitars that we'd spoken about. So yeah, certainly food for thought. Next one is eliminate. So there companies do have redundant processes or paperwork that blockchain, namely Raptoreum's blockchain, could eliminate by providing a secure and immutable ledger for like transactions and inventory management. You can also eliminate inefficiencies or delays in the procurement process by using RTM for faster and more secure payment settlements with suppliers. Next one is reverse. What was the other word?
Rearrange and reverse.
Yeah. Rearrange, reverse. So in terms of reverse, you could reverse the traditional hierarchical data structures by using a decentralized RTM blockchain approach. This can actually encourage more collaborative and innovative decision making within the supply chain. You can rearrange the project financing by using RTM assets as collateral, or also stakes in new projects. This can also diversify financial strategies and also investment opportunities as well. I think what can I say? By applying the SCAMPER technique, a manufacturing company can uncover really cool and new ways to leverage Raptoreum's blockchain capabilities and also asset management to streamline operations, enhance efficiency, and offer new value propositions to customers and also stakeholders interested in working with the company. So this is just one type of business, and some of the things that we can do to improve that using the SCAMPER technique, and certainly food for thought for any other business looking to streamline their operations with brand new use cases in blockchain, namely Raptoreum, because obviously we're much more secure, and make things better, and on top of this, we will soon have a brand new update to the blockchain that none of you have expected us to deliver, which will make this whole SCAMPER technique much more fruitful, which you're going to be hearing about very, very soon. So we're excited to share that very soon.
Gotta be careful. We got to be careful here at the end of the show. Who knows?
All right, gonna have another one of these. So
go ahead. This is what happens behind the scenes that you never see. We edit it out in normal shows, but now you get to see what really goes on.
So Hunter usually edits out the as well. I do a lot. I know I do a lot. Sorry about that, guys.
A wee bit.
I don't as much as David, though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, David's a professional Yeah.
yeah. We edit him out a lot.
Okay, so me and Hunter decided before the show started that we would deliver a Raptoreum. Maybe are we doing a cluster or are we doing a nuclear?
Oh no, be a bear, be a grizzly. We're going full nuke.
Are we going
This is
nuke?
thermonuclear. We're going thermonuclear. Yeah, it's boom.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. So if you're still with us and you're still watching,
Mm.
you should head over to the stream party chat at our Discord right now, because we are going to be dropping a Raptoreum bomb. And if you are active in the chat, you're going to get a piece of that pie. And if you're not active, you've got about 30 seconds to a minute to get active. Otherwise, you're not going to receive anything. So
While we're waiting, I just want to point out in the stream party chat, Budweiser came up with another scamper: sell crypto and make profits. End result. Okay, I mean, why not? Yes, sir, lose thyself. This one.
yes, you're in the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the right one.
Okay.
I did come up with another use case
Oh, yeah?
related to investment banking. Yeah, it was pretty cool, actually. And we'll have to, after this is done, we'll brainstorm that a little bit because it involves, I specifically asked about securities, what not to do. So, in fact, maybe I can pull that up while we're waiting.
Not long now, guys. If you're not already in our Discord, the link is at the top right of the stream. That is discord.gg/Raptoreum. Head over to the stream party chat, and very, very shortly, you're going to be happy in that chat.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see you in the chat, Jeff. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because that's what we do.
Yeah, this gets edited out as well. Although Hunter's got something planned for New Year, am I right? Where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to be showing what was edited out.
A lot of it, yeah. Well, yeah.
All right, guys. I think it's been over a minute now. I think it's been
Launch
over a
it.
minute now. How you doing, Pepe? Thank
Launch
you.
it. Thank you,
All right,
Pepe.
let me just check the balance to make sure it is there.
Should be.
Yeah, should be. All right. Okay. How are we going to deliver this? Obviously, it's going to be a nuclear, right? We've already decided that, but there's many ways to deliver a nuclear. Depends what missile you put it on. You know what I mean?
Well, again, you know,
Well, we could have a
scattered pie
phrase.
would be approved.
We
A phrase?
could have a phrase nuclear,
Oh, yeah.
or we could just do an active nuclear, or we could do one of those rigged things where you have to guess the 2FA, well, not guess it, but try and decipher it.
No, I think the phrase
Okay, and what should the phrase be?
uh Merry Christmas, be a bear, be a grizzly.
Okay.
That's all I got right now. It's the punch.
All right. Guys, get ready to type a phrase in. Christmas needs a capital C, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Be a bear, be a grizzly. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And there we go, guys. That is a gift from me and Hunter to you guys. We've just put half each towards that. So if you put that
Mary,
phrase
Mary.
put that phrase into the thread, you will receive a piece of that pie. Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. So I have this chat. I mean, this idea, and I thought I'd run it by you because it involves taking an asset, taking a truck, and the idea initially was you could piece off portions of the truck and create NFTs as ownership of the truck.
Okay, this has been done before.
But the problem becomes, and I did check this because of the Howey test, you have to not do certain things in order for it, whatever you're creating, that asset can't be considered a security. So if it is for a common purpose, like a stock,
Okay.
and it's making money, so if you're all participating in the profit of the truck, then it can be considered a security. But there are other things that you can do with that so that it's not the revenue generation, it's something else. So as long as you're not like creating revenue from it, you can do other things to create excitement.
Couldn't you price it? Say you could get someone to say that the truck's worth $1 million when really it's worth 100,000, and then they're never going to profit from it.
I mean, the world's your oyster. But I started thinking like fractional. What got me thinking was fractional ownership of aircraft, and there's a guy here in Panama doing fractional or doing assets with real estate and owning a piece of the real estate.
Okay.
And I started thinking, that's going to be interesting. But when you're dealing with regulatory bodies like the SEC, you have to be very careful about that. But who knows? It may evolve into something more. I don't know. But I'll have to go back and find that and maybe create a column over that, including how you don't run afoul of the SEC with securities, because you don't want that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we could even do a show about it, but I know that there are, it's mainly been token projects in the past where they have tokenized a vehicle. It's usually like a sports car, such as a Lamborghini or something like that. And yeah, they will tokenize it, and people will own part of the car. And yeah, but what I don't understand is so the NFT represents partial ownership of that car or that truck or whatever. Where is that parked up? Is it just locked up in a garage? And what happens to it ever? Is it like, one of those holiday homes that you share ownership and you can share driving of it every now and again? It gets difficult because if
I'm
someone
thinking Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't know if you ever saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they took the Ferrari out of the garage, went downtown Chicago. And by the way, that was not a real Ferrari.
Yeah.
It was a Chevy. I used to see it driving around Chicago. But anyway, yeah. I mean, what do they do with the actual asset?
Well, imagine you've got the NFT for the left front tire, and then someone takes the car out and burns the tires out, and you're like, well, you've just devalued my tire. Idiot. You know what I mean?
You can run into some real, I think, yeah. So what I came up with was something a little more realistic, and I'll find it. We'll do a blog post. Maybe we'll do a Raptor ChainReaction on it, because again, it allows people to look at something and say, geez, we have this building over here. How can we monetize it, creatively monetize it using NFTs and selling maybe not the title to it, but selling a part of it for something. And it's not about making money per
Yeah.
se for the person who's bought into it. It got me again. It got me thinking. Well, what else can we do with this? And then the fractionalizing of something is being done, and on the Raptoreum blockchain, you have to be careful to not run afoul of the Howey test. I've got to delve into that a little more, but I went, whoa, this is very interesting because it's like NetJets. NetJets is this fractional ownership of business aircraft,
Hmm.
and it's quite successful. So,
But that's obviously having use of it as well.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
yep, yep. I mean, who knows? Maybe they use, and maybe you use the NFT as your proof of that ownership.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's an immutable record, etc., and it's something you can look up. Um, I mean, the world's our oyster.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'd be easier to do it in that way where the main company is, a legitimate business and they have their own profit agendas internally, and they are offering access to something that's worth a lot of money for X amount of time, uh, for the user that's paying a lot less than they would normally have to pay to gain access to something like that. And I could see that working, um, as long as they understand that the company is still actually in charge of that asset, and if that asset was to ever become worn out in any sort of way, be it a building, be it a car, be it an aeroplane, that company would be then in charge of replacing that asset, and continually providing access to an equal or better asset at the end of it, that the people could still use. So that would take profit out of the equation for the end user, and leave that in the lap of the company that's issuing the fractional ownership or the NFTs for the product. So
yeah.
that could work, and it does work. We've seen it working in terms of property as well. I've seen blockchain projects tokenizing property, but there is the element of expecting profit at the end of it, and if you was to steer away from that, then the only other way of doing it would be having access to the property.
I found I found it. The Under U.S. law, if they meet the Howey test, which identifies an investment contract when there's an investment of money, the investment is in a common enterprise, there's an expectation of profits, and those profits are derived primarily from the efforts of others. So that the fact that Raptoreum passing the Howey test means its native tokens are not classified as securities because they don't meet this criteria. There's some flexibility in creating tokenized assets under the Raptoreum blockchain if it's structured carefully. And then what I found out is how to avoid tokens being classified as securities. So utility-based tokens, instead of representing ownership or profit sharing, the tokens could grant access to a service or benefit related to the asset. For example, a token for a skin delivery truck could offer advertising space rather than direct ownership or profit sharing from the truck's use. For real estate, tokens could represent access to rental time rather than a share of rental income.
Are you saying it's a skin delivery truck? Will it
No,
deliver skin?
let's be real careful there.
What did you say?
A token for you put they call it skin. They put on like a
Oh,
layer.
skin. So it doesn't deliver skin. Right, okay, all right.
No, it's not Hillary skin. I
Carry
could
on.
go off the rails real quick. Again. Uh-oh. The Bailey's kicking in for you too. All right. Uh, if the tokens are structured to avoid a common enterprise, example given, the value doesn't depend on the success of a central entity. They may avoid securities classification. So there are ways of doing it. That was interesting. You know, you're talking about um, uh, the advertising space on the truck.
Yeah.
So related to that, you know, put to other uses.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting stuff there that management as well as investment bankers can go, that's interesting. So
Yeah,
away we
definitely.
go.
I think definitely the skin of a truck could be fractionalized because there's no direct profit from it, is there? Because the actual act of having a fraction of that skin and being able to advertise on there is not a direct profit into the the pocket of the person that's bought the fractionalized ownership of the skin. The profit comes at the end of it, based on the success of the advert. So yeah, definitely that could be something that worked.
And you look around I mean, people can look around offices and there's stuff buried in older firms. And that's where it gets kind of interesting with older firms
Yeah,
that you might not think, but boy, you start poking around in the corners in the back lot, and holy mother of God, you can find some gold. And then turning that into something that can be either a monetized or related to being monetized would be spectacular. So it's there's a whole world out there that we offer. Uh, and a big part of that, I think, is the security of the blockchain, which we talked about probably ad nauseum, but it bears repeating. What other blockchain out there can do everything the Raptoreum can do right now on top of what's coming with the security that's provided? And I won't even get into that which shall not be named at the moment.
yeah,
It's coming, put it that way. We know one developer is excited.
definitely. All right, so we've talked about the scamper technique. We've sent out a nuclear bomb.
All in a day's work.
We've drank some Christmas liquor.
Yes, we have.
We've talked about a use case that you're thinking about.
Mhm.
What is there left to do?
Maybe a question or two from the audience.
Guys, if you've got any questions for us, please send them over either in the YouTube channel or the stream party chat at the Discord. Okay. Hey, we got Rude Puts in the YouTube chat. Fudweiser, how you doing? How you doing, Bon Homie?
Bon homie.
Pepe saying, someone asked about what are Raptoreum futures on Telegram. He says maybe there isn't a doc on the web about that. I'm pretty sure there's a doc on futures and how it works, but I'll lightly explain it right now. So Raptoreum futures are a way that you can send a transaction or an asset, well, a transaction of Raptoreum coins or an asset transaction, but have it only unlock in the future, and you can select it either with a block height, which we have blocks on average every 2 minutes, so you can unlock it in the future with a block height, or a timestamp, which can be a date and a time. So that's what Raptoreum Futures is. It has its own plethora of use cases, such as paying a bill in the future. So you don't have to, if you're busy, and you're not going to be around to pay it, you can already pre-plan and pay it or you can, pay a subscription for a mining operation, or plenty of things like that. The use cases are there for people to build on the chain and utilize Raptoreum futures. You could also build a run of NFTs, and you could program those NFTs to automatically release themselves in the future. So a staggered NFT library release. No, that's just a regular slip up. That's nothing to do with that.
That's a regular F up. Okay.
If you say library like 5 times.
Library.
Yeah, you need another drink.
Oh, that was 4. Sorry, library.
Okay, there's you just slip up.
Okay. I may need a refill here. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. So Pepe saying he couldn't find the section. Don't forget, Pepe, we do have 2 doc sites now. We've got the one that's on the main site, which is the old one. Charlie's still building the new one, which is learn.raptoreum.com. So maybe check out the new one, see if it's on there. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be on there. All right. Saluzai so saying, I don't know about poking around in the back lot, Hunter.
Well, I'm referring to like the back 40 acres of a manufacturing plant where they've, got storehouses and stuff.
What is he referring to?
I don't want to know. I really don't want to know.
Yeah.
And it's Sunday to boot.
Yeah. Quiztid is saying, hope everyone has a great holiday.
Likewise. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Let's check the YouTube chat. Okay. We have Bonhomie saying, why do you choose Ghost Rider as an algo for Raptoreum, while there are a lot more ASIC resistance algorithms out there? I mean, it was developed by a tree to be an algo that randomly cycled different algorithms to keep off ASICs and FPGAs on the network. The main thing that makes this algorithm pretty cool is it's optimized for CPU mining, and some of these other algos are optimized for GPU mining. Yeah, there may be ASIC or FPGA resistant, but they are primarily GPU centric. And problem with GPUs is there's a lot of people in the world with huge factories full of GPUs, and they can mine hundreds of GPUs and centralize hash power, which is basically just as bad as ASICs and FPGAs. So when the algorithm was created, it was created in a way where CPUs would get an edge, namely AMD Ryzen processors. They would have an edge over GPUs because of the L3 cache that is required to efficiently mine Raptoreum better than anything else. So that's what it was. I mean, at the time, we had a lot of gamers that were utilizing their CPUs in their PC. Even some of them were using it while they were gaming and generating some Raptoreum coins that way. So it really brought in a new a new set of people into the blockchain space when they realized that the power was in their hands to access blockchain and to have a piece of the pie quite easily. Back in the day, we were accused of causing an AMD Ryzen shortage. I don't know how much truth was in that matter, but people were reporting that. And we were also accused of reducing NVIDIA stock back in the day. So probably a load of rubbish, but that's what they were saying. So, by utilizing CPU mining, we allow a broader participation base in the Raptoreum network, encouraging just the general home miner to use their own hardware, thereby supporting a more democratized and fair mining system, as opposed to being dominated by those with access to specialist mining equipment or people generally with lots of money. So the thing is as well is CPUs tend to be a lot more energy efficient compared to GPU and ASICs. And also, if you think these days, given the focus on a more energy efficient way of utilizing blockchain and sustainability, I suppose, in blockchain technologies, Ghost Rider provides a way to mine Raptoreum while being mindful of energy consumption. If you compare it to Ravencoin's algorithm, you'll see the difference in heat and energy use. If you are a seasoned miner, that is. I do apologise. I've got a blocked up nose. It's cold. I've been out all day in the cold, so yeah, not good. The development and the selection of Ghost Rider involve community input and collaboration. So, by fostering an open, inclusive development process in all of this, Raptoreum's network benefits from a wide range of insights and ideas, leading to the creation of an algorithm that is well aligned with community values and needs. And this is why it's a popular algorithm. Not too long ago, it was, I think, the second most popular algorithm on Hive, which is quite a large mining software that people use. So to summarize, I suppose, by opting for the Ghost Rider algo, we, or Raptoreum, seek to create a mining environment that enhances decentralization, accessibility, and also sustainability. And it ensures our network remains secure and fair for all. And that's why we've got it, and that's why it works well. I hope that answers your question.
Tenacious D said Rabbit got most of them.
Yeah.
There's another little point to make, and that is that it's a great enabler in that you can have someone, let's say a music artist or a photographer, someone who can just turn on even an Intel processor can crank out enough to buy a few assets over a week or so. If you're cranking out a song a week, you could easily mine enough to, 100 Raptoreum to pay for an asset. You don't have to go buy it on an exchange. You just run your computer, generate your asset, enough for an asset, mint it, and away you go. A couple hundred a week, 300-400 a week. That's doable. So, and if you can figure out Pro Tools and some of these other editing programs, Jesus, you can figure this stuff out. And we have to do a better job of creating user guides and that, and that can come. But yeah, that Ghost Rider is a great little piece of of software engineering.
Yeah, Tree did a really good job with that. Okay. Is there any more questions for us, Hunter, or shall we clear this up?
I don't see any more on the stream party chat. So are we at that point where
RTMKG has just sent a question into the YouTube, and he says, "Do you guys think you can make it possible to add a pattern situation to the blockchain so you can have proof of your pattern of an? Oh, you want about patent for an invention for a product or application?" Hunter, this is one for you.
a patent situation? Yeah. See, the thing is, you protect ideas. Did I already go? I think I already went through this once, but I'll summarize it real quick. You can use manual means to do it right now, and it still holds value today. And depending on the country you live in the U.S., there's still such a thing as registered mail. Essentially, you mail yourself the idea through registered mail, which is all U.S. government. Every time it changes hands, it's signed off by an employee. It's mailed to you. You send it back to yourself. You put that in a safety deposit box, and that's your proof of invention. And then you go through the patent process, and you're awarded your patent. You can certainly take a copy of that patent and put it on the blockchain. You can certainly take an electronic form of what I just described with registered mail, and that is you document everything about your idea, anything that's, whether it's how you came up with the song idea, the lyrics, the music, what influenced you. You document that as much as possible, and you put in a Word document, whatever. You put that into an Adobe Acrobat document, PDF file, and you encrypt it. You can even put that into another Adobe Acrobat file and encrypt that. Put that on the blockchain so that an authority, whether it's a judge or a patent office somewhere in the world, trademark office, can download it from the Raptoreum Asset Explorer, and you give them the password. They open up the file and they see, yeah, you're the inventor. You're the one who came up with the idea. Because one of the things a judge is going to ask is, where'd you get the idea? Where'd the idea come from? And you better have a good story. And the more documentation you have of that, the more credence they're going to give towards that evidence. And especially if it's been secured by the blockchain. And you can even go that other route, which is manually do it through registered mail if you have it in your country. So you can do the same thing, I think, with FedEx or something along those lines. Anything that would document the creation. So the answer to the question is, and take it a step further, when you have the full ecosystem, the RTM ecosystem set up, which would include smart contracts, you could easily, a country could easily run a public registry. It would not surprise me in the least if someday the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office was running on Raptoreum. Wouldn't surprise me in the least, because it's so much easier to do what they're doing than what they've got now, because they're relying on a lot of, they still rely on paper, which is okay. But I'll give you an example of what happens when it hits the fan. If you try getting a veteran's records in the U.S., my dad served in World War II, and we wrote for his service record, and it was burned in a fire at a records warehouse in St. Louis. It was a huge fire that happened in the 70s, and it burned a lot of World War II U.S. Army records, and they could only provide just so much. So his full record was destroyed in that fire. And they learned from that lesson. So Raptoreum would be a good way of securing it on the blockchain. It's immutable, and you can update it. So again, it wouldn't surprise me down the road, and this is not in the conversations I'm having, FYI. Don't want to mislead anyone, but it would not surprise me, given the robustness of what this is. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if they said, "Ooh, this is actually looking real good for us to use," and it would be a good idea if they did. And there you are, Paul.
RTM KG, hope that answers your question. I just want to say a big Merry Christmas to the Raptoreum community. And if you're not already in a community, you should join. Link is at the top right of the stream. We're also on Telegram. That's at Raptoreum with a double M. It's only a double M because we lost access to the one with a single M somehow early on. But yeah, Raptoreum with a double M. You can also follow us on X. That's at Raptoreum. We're also on Threads and also Instagram with the same username. You can also follow us on TikTok. That's at official Raptoreum. Please give this YouTube stream a like at the bottom and click the subscribe button to be kept up to date with any more Raptoreum videos or Raptor Chain Reaction videos such as this one. This was our first Raptor Chain Reaction live video. It's like
we survived. There's no major laugh attacks. Well, maybe a little one, but there were no real bloopers on this one. I'm almost disappointed. Yeah. What can we do to? Oh, Shermanator's in the house. Merry Christmas, Sherm.
Merry Christmas, Sherm.
Yeah.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So let me look at the date here. So next week,
AMA.
We have the AMA. Are we going to do it? Or are we going to have a break? Are we going to do it or what?
Not my decision. out of my pay grade.
So we've got...
I can do it.
We've got the RCR on Thursday, which is the 26th. You know what? I think we're going to have a break for the 29th. I think Smith's back on the 5th. It's the Christmas week between, obviously, Christmas and New Year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be nice to have a break with our family, and then we'll come back on the 5th. But we will have a Raptor Chain Reaction video on the Thursday.
It'll probably be over next weekend that we'll do it.
Yeah, it's going to be next weekend. So maybe we should focus on that Raptor Chain Reaction video for the latter part
next
of that
Sunday.
week. Yeah, next Sunday. Because obviously
subscribers get it on Saturday. Just saying.
So shall we?
I mean the members. Yeah.
Shall we record that on Friday?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Thursday. Well,
Thursday is
Christmas.
Boxing Day.
Oh, Boxing Day. Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen on Thursday, is it? That's
Thursday's Wednesday is Christmas. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
So
you'll be rather merry.
It's going to be Friday or Saturday when we're going to record that. All right.
We'll do Friday.
Yeah, because if we do the AMA as well, it's just going to be too much, I think. And it's family time. It's Christmas time.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So that's what we'll do then. Thank you all for tuning in for this live stream of the Raptor Chain Reaction video with me, Paul Mills from Raptoreum Core, and Hunter Schultz, head of production for Raptoreum. It has been an absolute pleasure. Any final words, Hunter, before we go?
Just thanks for the support and the questions over many of these shows and videos. It is quite a community, and we are looking forward to some awesome stuff in 2025. And we're kind of busting at the seams right now. There's so much stuff that we want to say, but it comes in good time. And I know I'm excited to see the growth. And 2025 is going to be a lit year. Not financial advice, doing your own research and all that stuff, but yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go. So yeah, Merry Christmas, and of course, Happy New Year. And if you're not around next weekend, we'll see you in 2025.
Love you all, guys. Thank you very much. Catch you later.
Cheers.